What I'm doing today on this video is installing push rods and walker arms. Now, if you ain't seen previous videos and this is the first time you've seen my channel, then you probably didn't know I used lifters in this motor. So we are using push rods and walker arms to match, so I will not be checking my preload. This is basically if you just drawing your motor back together after a cam swap, we're using everything, it should work just fine. Unless you change the length of like your lifters, or maybe your cam is extremely special about it, you might have to get your push rod length and everything. This is basically just a floppy stage 2, very common cam flop. We're using factory push rods. This is them. You can buy aftermarket push rods, but some of the aftermarket push rods is either too short or just junk. These has all been tested and made sure they are not bent. Video in the description on how to do that if you want to check it out. Before installing these, I am going to clean all these little holes out with some brake cleaner and then dip these in oil. So how I'm going to do this way, just put the little thing in it, then we're just going to strut down through these little holes. Just make sure it cleaned out and not gunked up. I have seen push rods before that had these stopped up with dried oil and stuff, and that will kill your motor out. Oil travels up your push rods. So you want to make sure those is extremely cleaned. Wipe them off good. Coat them in oil before sticking them into your motor. I might have to cut the top of this off, so let's just stick them all in oil. And then shake it up. Probably easier to put a cap on it. Once you do that, you can just take a razor blade or something and cut this top off. See, now I can get to my push rods. On your push rods now, they do got wear marks. It shouldn't matter which way you put them if you had a good running engine. But the one with the most wear goes up to your walk arm. The one with the less goes to your lifter. And the push rods go into these little holes here and they set on the lifter itself. You can see here this is extremely dirty. Yours probably be just as dirty. Just spray it off with some brake clean or filter to take care of the rest. This is what it looks like after the brake clean. Looks brand new. I always put the letters where you can read them on both sides if you do this. Now the best way to do it is one walk arm at a time on each corner. So we got a little dirt on these. I'm going to spray them with brake clean, pour some oil on them. After we get them installed, we should be good to go. Brake clean and 2 walkers, going to spray them off. So you got to make sure this round part sets in this cradle right here. If you put it on wrong, it won't work right and you can hurt your engine. So it just sets down just like so. This part right here will set on the top of your valve. Now I'm going to do the rest of them and then we tighten them up. Now the torque specs on these is 22 foot-pounds to 25. If you don't have a torque wrench, it goes down to that. You can get an inch-pounds and convert 25 foot-pounds to inch-pounds. That's what I'm doing. These are 8mm bolts. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten them down. They are a procedure to this, but everything is used. I don't have to check preload or nothing like that. Only thing we did was swap the cam and springs, and I'm just tightening it down. Now this might be on stroke. If it is, that's fine. I never had an issue, but if you worried, you can turn your motor over to its off stroke. So I'm keeping this valve steady, just like that. And yeah, this was on stroke. So let's go ahead and torque it down. There we go. Now that we got this and torqued down, I'm actually going to just run these tight and then go over them with a torque wrench. And you don't want to, you just basically want to run them down till it gets tight, because you can strip these and you don't want that. This is just taking some of the time out of having to manually do them all. So let's run these down. And now I should be able to go over with my torque wrench, and it should take less time. So just make sure to keep them straight when you do. This one's on stroke too. You can see it mash down the valve spring. There we go. Now I'm going to tighten the rest of them up, and I'll show you what to do once we get that done. Once you get this all torqued down now, you can tell these is some on stroke, some not. You can rotate your engine over, and one full rotation, and that'll work these lifters up and down, and then double check your torque specs, just in case one might be off center a little and didn't torque down right. I did one full rotation on this. You can do more. And you can see the valves have moved. Now I'm just going to double check the torque specs. Everything is good. Next, where you tuck brake clean and clean this off, you want to basically soak this in oil. The oil I'm going to use on mine is just some Super Tech cheapie from the Dollar General store. It's nothing fancy. So I'm just going to coat this in a nice fresh coat of oil. So when we get ready to run the motor, we shouldn't have no rusting issues or anything like that. If you do this, make sure you got your oil pan on, because this will run down to your oil pan. If you ain't got one, have a tray underneath. So I hope you enjoyed this 6.0 LS video. It kind of was an update. We got the lifters and push rods done on both sides now, and it's about ready to go into the truck. If you're new, it's going into a C30 square body, so you don't want to miss that. So get subscribed, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video.